How to answer the interview question, tell me about yourself, is one of the most commonly searched things on YouTube. And with good reason. If you are interviewing, you can probably expect to be asked this question at every single step in the process. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you how to answer this question with absolute confidence. If you watch to the very end, not only will you be able to answer this question easily in your next interview, but you're gonna find yourself hoping that they ask it because you are going to be so prepared to crush it. And stick around to the very end because right before the end of this video, I'm gonna show you the common mistakes people make so that you can avoid making them. Let's go. Hi everybody, this is Ben White with Ben Talks Talent. I've got 11 years experience in interviewing, recruiting, talent acquisition, and I am passionate about using my experience to help you become the best candidate possible, land your next job, and maximize every move from a financial perspective. In today's video, we are going to be talking about one of the most common interview questions that is asked, and that's tell me about yourself. But before we do that, do me a quick favor, take 3 seconds, subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss one of my videos that are all designed to help you become the best candidate possible. Tell me about yourself. Let's start with the why. Why is this question even asked? And why is it asked at the frequency at which it is asked? And the reason is, I want you to think about the situation. As a candidate, you're probably nervous. As a person who is interviewing, you're getting into the groove of interviewing, and this question serves a great segue from going from small talk, welcome to the office, welcome to the interview, to actually getting into interview questions. Not only that, but it allows the person who is interviewing you to get some great initial foundation information about who you are and why you are here. So that's why it's asked. One of the things that's really important to consider about this interview question is that it is going to be asked very early on in the interview process. This might be the first or second question you're actually asked in your interview, so it's going to be making up a big part of their first impression. And first impressions actually play a disproportionately big role in deciding if a candidate gets moved forward or not. So when you're answering this interview question, know that the impact here is incredibly important because this is first impression. Now, I want to talk about formatting because I think formatting is the next thing you need to consider when you're answering this interview question. Any good response to an interview question has a plan. It has where you're going to start and where you're going to end up. And with this interview question, can you tell me about yourself? You want to start at the beginning, your past. So maybe you talk about education, certifications, and then your first couple of roles. You want to do this at a high level. You don't want to take 5 minutes to answer this interview question. So you want to move through the beginning stages quickly and efficiently. So cover the important details, maybe talk about your passion as to why you chose this career, and then move into the middle part. Now that middle part, that right there, that's talking about your current job. What are you doing today? Now you can spend a little bit more time talking about this because it is more relevant to the role you are interviewing for. You can talk about some of your tasks, some of the impact you have, and why you were effective in this role. And then finally, you want to talk about where you're going. Now, if you're interviewing for a job, then the ideal outcome is you get an offer for that job. So when you're talking about your future, you want to be talking about how this job that you're interviewing for is a good fit. So start talking about the foundation, your background. Move quickly into what you are currently doing now, why you're good at it, the impact you are making, and then how that has set you up to be a strong candidate who can come into this role and perform at a really high level. Remember, when you're interviewing for a role, the end goal is that you end up getting that offer and then ultimately taking that job. So with that in mind, that's how you need to answer these interview questions. So think about that. When you're answering these questions, this is a perfect one to, at the very end, use that opportunity to kind of sell yourself. Sell why you're a good fit, sell why you would come in and make an impact, and sell why everything you have gone to up until this point has positioned you perfectly to be a great fit for the role. Now, real quick, if you are finding value in this video, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, take 3 seconds, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then comment below, I subscribed. And if you do that, I will respond back to every single person who subscribes. All right, so now that we've talked about the why this question is asked, and we've talked about the formatting of answering this interview question, I want to talk about tips. Now, these are things I would recommend you use when answering this question so you can really stand out as a candidate and differentiate yourself from everyone else who is answering this interview question and is a candidate for the role you are interviewing for. Now, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to tailor your answer to the company, right? So you're interviewing because you want this job. So you can answer this question by just talking about yourself and talking about your background, or you can make it a more powerful answer and weave in some of the things that are important to this organization into the future part of answering this question. So say, for example, you're interviewing with Tesla. Mission is incredibly important to them. So maybe when you're talking and you're going, and at the very end of this question, when you're talking about why you're a good fit and why future state, this would be a great role for you, maybe you talk about some of the mission and how that inspires you and why this role in particular is where you want to take your career. Or maybe you're talking to Apple and you're interviewing with a role for them. One of their core values is accessibility. And maybe you want to talk about how you were inspired by creating technology that is accessible to remote parts of the world. You get what I'm saying. Those are specific examples, but if you're interviewing with a specific company, go to their website, go to their About Us section, look at their values, look at their culture, and one of the things you can do to supercharge this answer to this interview question is incorporate why their role in particular is where you want to take your career next. My next tip here is keep it professional. One of the things that's really funny, I've asked this question before as an interviewer, is I've had people start talking about themselves and their hobbies and where they're from, and absolutely, some people want to hear this, but there are a lot of people who want you to talk professionally, right? They want to hear about why you're a good professional fit for this position, for their organization. So my second tip here is start with a professional and keep your answer professional throughout. Now, if they want to learn about you, if they want to hear about you and your hobbies and why you'd be a good fit from a culture standpoint, I guarantee you they will ask you a follow-up question and they will prompt you to bring in some of the personality bits of it. So you'll absolutely have that opportunity. But there is a lot of companies out there who really aren't going to have interest in that. They want you to use this question to sell yourself professionally. So start there. And if they do want more about you and what makes you you, they're going to ask. Now, my last tip here is inject a little bit of passion into this answer. People buy passion, and generally speaking, when I talk to hiring managers, one of the gripes I get about candidates they're on the fence with is that they didn't seem like the candidate really was motivated for their job specifically. Now, why does that happen? It happens because people don't show their passion for the role, their passion for the organization, and the passion for actually getting this job. So my last tip here, to answer this question with maximum impact, make sure you talk about why this is exciting for you, why you have a burning passion for what you do on a day-to-day basis, and make sure that comes off at an appropriate amount when you're answering this interview question. Now, the last thing I want to cover today, as I promised early in the video, is I'm going to talk about how people make mistakes. What are the things people do, often accidentally, that make it so the hiring manager or the recruiter or the HR person listening to the interview question being answered goes, I don't know about that, I don't like this, and can cause people to not get the job. So I'm going to go through these real quick, and the first one is any sort of negativity. You know, it is so easy to be talking about some of your past roles, and I got my education, then I went in this first role, but I felt like they just, it wasn't a good place to be. The culture was really bad. I didn't like with my manager, so I moved on to a next role. You to avoid that, you might do it accidentally. You might not mean a lot by it, but generally speaking, it never benefits you to speak negatively. If you talk about a past boss or a past place that you've worked being an issue or you not really liking it, a certain amount of hiring managers are going to think maybe they were the problem. So the first thing I would say is absolutely avoid any negativity. It doesn't serve you, so skip it. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to avoid anything unprofessional. So any swears, anything that maybe is inappropriate to say during an interview. Again, when people ask you a question that seems as innocent as, can you tell me about yourself? Some people slip into, giving a little bit of themselves away and talking a little bit about them and, their hobbies. And it is easy for something inappropriate in an interview setting to slip. You want to stay on top of that. You absolutely don't want that to be the case. Again, that doesn't serve you, so skip that. The next mistake that I think is really easy to make is not showing alignment. If you just talk about yourself and you're talking about yourself and it's going one way and you're missing why you're a good fit for the role or why the things you have done have prepared you to excel in the role, you're missing out on really nailing this interview question. So the last thing I would tell you to skip on or make sure you avoid doing is not demonstrating alignment. If you answer this interview question and you don't demonstrate why you were a good fit, I'm telling you, you are leaving some money on the table there. You are not maximizing the opportunity. Make sure whenever you're answering this, you take some time to show why you are a value and why you are in skill alignment with the role you're interviewing for. The next problem and the next mistake that people make is they don't think this is a question they need to prepare for, right? Tell me about yourself seems easy. because you're just talking about yourself and everybody knows themselves. But if you just go into this interview question and it is the first time you've answered it, you haven't practiced, you haven't rehearsed, you haven't at least thought about it, it is really easy to ramble on or tell things, out of order. And basically just do a pretty poor job of answering this question. So while easy, take 10, 20 minutes to watch this video and then practice it a few times. It is not a hard question if you practice it. But if it's the first time you've actually said the words aloud, you can find yourself droning on and really not maximizing the impact. Now, I want to talk about the last mistake people make in this, and it's the flip side of that, and that's sounding overly robotic. If you watch this video and go, thanks, Ben, this is awesome, I'm gonna nail it, and then you practice it 30 times the day before your next interview, and you go in there and you're actually talking, they're going to be able to tell. They're like, is this a monologue or are you answering an interview question? You wanna make sure that you're coming off as authentic. So yes, know what you're gonna talk about, maybe make a skeleton, write it out, and practice it a few times, but don't memorize it. If you memorize it and it comes off overly rehearsed, they're gonna think, you know what, this just seems like not the authentic version of a candidate we were hoping to get. So you have to find a way to strike that balance. Don't go in underprepared, but don't go in so overprepared that you come off sounding robotic. And that is everything. If you do everything that I've said in this video, you're absolutely gonna crush this interview question. It is going to be a breeze, and in all likelihood, it's gonna help you get moved on to the next round. Good luck in your next interview. You've got this.